Good afternoon, everyone. Whether you're here in person or watching virtually, welcome to the Town Council meeting. The first item on the agenda had been the swearing in of the new council member. We've already done that, so I would like to welcome Mr. McHugh to our Town Council, for those of you who missed the previous meeting. And all the members of the Town Council are here. Mr. Gravier, our Town Manager, is here. Mr. Ligori, our Town Solicitor, is here. Our Assistant Town Manager, Terry Tiemann, our Town Clerk, Christine Ray, and our IT team of Will Wharton and Brian Punnisett are here. With that, would you all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I'd like to ask that we include the Non-Residential Design Review Committee report from that committee. It wasn't included. So with that, I ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, well, the approval of the special meeting minutes, we're going to postpone that until next month, so that will not be on the agenda. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 19th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Under the members present, I believe that Mr. Morris was at that meeting.
Oh, okay. We will make that. Were you at that meeting, Mr. Morris?
I think so.
If he wasn't, he made a lot of suggestions.
Yeah, I
and
was there.
Reports.
Okay, with that amendment, do I have a vote to approve it?
A motion?
A motion? Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the executive session on January 19, 2024.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is the approval of the financial report. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through February 29th, 2024. Got an extra day this year. We are 92% through the fiscal year 2024. Under operating revenue, real estate transfer taxes was above our budget, but rental taxes were slightly lower than normal. To date, we have collected 101% of our budget as compared to 103.9% last year. On the expense side, the expenses are slightly higher than last year due to storm management. We expended 90.8% of our budget compared to 90.9% this time last year. Recognizing that this report is subject to audit, I respectfully move that the council accept and approve this unaudited report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone present have any questions? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is announcements, recognition of visitors, and public comment. And before we do that, I'd like to report that recently we've had a number of employees who've been recognized for their outstanding performance. And as you know, we have a great group of employees in this town. They are very professional, they get the job done, and they do it with a can-do attitude and a smiling face, even on the toughest of days. And recently, one of them, Patrolman Molly Ryan, was recognized by the Joshua M. Freeman First Responders for her as given an award. She has been working for the town since 2022, and she received it recognized for her outstanding law enforcement actions while on patrol. So if you see Patrolman Ryan, please be sure to thank her and congratulate her, and all of our police officers. They do an outstanding job, and I think sometimes under very adverse conditions, but you always see them with a smile on their face and willing to help. And this year's First Responder Award, they decided to put into effect a Good Samaritan Award, because they have found that whenever a first responder is given an award for some outstanding job that they performed, sometimes it's always a citizen who takes over until the first responders arrive. And the first time, and this year the award, the first Good Samaritan Award was sponsored by Bethany Beach Books. So if you're down there, please thank them for sponsoring the award. Jackie Inman Burns did an outstanding job. But the first one was presented to our own Sean Eli. And if you remember back a couple of years ago, when a woman, it was the off-season, there were no lifeguards on duty, and a woman ran up to Sean as he was doing his work, doing the Moby mats, cleaning them up, and said that her son was caught out in the riptides and couldn't get back in. And Sean hates the ocean. He can swim. He hates the ocean. But he took off his shoes and his jacket. He jumped in, and he held the boy up. And the boy kept saying to him, "I'm going to drown." And Sean said, "No, you're not." And so he kept him afloat until Lieutenant Sharp arrived, and Lieutenant Sharp took over. But Sean did a great job, and if you see Sean out there, please embarrass him by thanking him, because he hates recognition. So, and the other one, I wanted to mention, if you see, we have a new officer, Officer Graydon Meredith, and a bunch of us went up to his graduation from the Delaware State Police Academy last month. He's a fine young officer, and he will do a great job for this town, and he is within a wonderful police department. So if you see Grady out on the street, you'll be seeing him now with another officer. So if you see two officers in a police car, you know one of them is Grady. He's doing his apprenticeship, if you will. Speaking of police, I just wanted to mention that our police do a great job of ensuring public safety, and every year we try to go out and get seasonal police officers. But the number of seasonal police officers we can hire depends on the lodging we have for them. And we have a number of, our officers went out and they spoke to groups in the Midwest, and they have a number of people interested, but we have no housing. So if anyone knows of anyone who's willing to rent a house for the summer, or even has rooms in their homes that they're willing to give these, and these officers have been vetted, they've gone through a whole bunch of testing and training, so you know that they're good young men and women. If anyone knows of anyone who's willing to rent a room to them for the summer, please let the town know, admin at Town of Bethany Beach. We'd appreciate it. And then I just wanted to embarrass our assistant town manager. She's been recognized and honored by the International City County Management Association, and that is the professional association of city managers. Whenever the towns that have a council manager form of government, the professionals belong to that association. And the award was given to Terry in honor of her outstanding contributions to the advancement of local government, management profession, and for her dedicated service to the association. And Terry's... And recently, Terry's work on behalf of the town resulted in a $500,000 award from the federal government community project funding for the Loop Canal Land Strip Preservation Project. Last week, it passed both houses of Congress, and it was signed into law. So that $500,000 is there, but now it has to go through the approval process of the agency, so it may take a little bit of time. And Terry worked with Lisa Blunt Rochester's office, our representative, and they were able to get that through. So this past week, Ron Califf, Terry and I were up in Capitol Hill with a group of municipal leaders from Delaware, and we met with Senators Carper, Coons, and Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester and their staff, and we were able to thank them personally for supporting us and for getting that money through for that land preservation project. So hopefully that will be in the works pretty soon. And Terry reminded me earlier that we were all welcome there at the Capitol Hill. An officer stood there with his AK-45 and said, "Welcome, welcome." So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I didn't take quite as long as Rich did, but...
Another lawyer.
Okay, so now, we do have room right here for public comment, and I know Mr. Mulligan wanted to say something. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Tracy Mulligan, 993 Sandbar Court. I want to express appreciation for two areas. The first was Lou Kilmer for his work over the years and his values. 18 years ago, Lou and I were at the fire hall over there in front of 180 people when they had their candidates night, the night before the election. I've got a lot of good stories over the years, which I won't tell now, because anyone who's worked with Lou has their own good stories. The second item, and I'll be shorter than either lawyer, the second item was I appreciate the opportunity to stand before council as a citizen here. That election 18 years ago had 8 candidates, in part because council had put into effect a policy that citizens were not allowed to speak at council meetings. Lou supported that change to where the current structure, and it's just become a habit, it's just become embedded, and I want to say I appreciated that too. So, but primarily, I want to come say thank you to Lou Kilmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to Mr. Kilmer. And just so you know, too, he was president of the Delaware League of Local Governments, and he was also worked on the Council on Police Training. And at this month's Delaware League dinner, the end of the month, they will be honoring Lou, and Lou and Maureen will be there, and he'll be accepting an award for all the work he has done on behalf of the state of Delaware. So Lou still remains a friend. I see him almost every day, and he's just a great, in addition to have done a lot of things for the town, a lot of great things, he is an incredible human being. Does anyone else have anything? Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. Anyone else? Yep. Yes, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Jennifer Carter, 429 Collins Street. And I will speak more slowly. Sorry, Madam Mayor. Regarding the Collins Street project, we just received an alert, I think it was last Friday, because the project had already officially begun. But we received an alert through the communication system for Collins Street that we've signed up for, that I think meant that the south side of Collins, the right-of-way, more of the right-of-way will be taken for the project because of the telephone poles. Is that correct? Am I reading that? Because it was confusing for us. We were trying to make sense of the alert. Is that what's happening?
More of the right-of-way won't be taken. The right-of-way, though, will shift about 40 inches at the very western end, closer to private property.
So the survey, okay. So if the right-of-way shifts to the south, does that mean that the right-of-way then is in a different place than it was before? So the 10 feet that was the right-of-way.
The right-of-way continues to be 30 feet. Initially, it was our hope that we would be able to leave 5 feet on the north side and 5 feet on the south side of right-of-way before we hit the private property line. When the engineer finally got to the point in time where he was able to lay out the actual diagram for the project, because of the poles and because the road actually shifts and it's not a straight line, he had to angle the road from Kent to the first house past the water plant, west of the water plant, and at that point in time, west of the water plant, the road shifts 40 inches to the south, 42 inches to the south.
again, so I'm just trying to make clear again for people who are listening, because they knew that I would be here. I'm on the north side, so I'm blessed by being on the north side. But I feel for them, and there's been a lot of conversation this week about this. So the 5-foot right-of-way that was left in the original design is now 40-some inches less.
On the south side of the roadway, at that point, it gradually decreases from Kent, where it's essentially 5 and 5, we'll say, and then as it progresses towards the west, it angles towards the south side of the roadway.
Okay, so
And yes, you have more right-of-way, if you will, in front of your property on the north side now than
Right.
you did before.
but the south side has less now.
The south side has less.
Okay, and that's what they're upset about. Not upset, that's kind of, well, yeah, they are. Because that means that the path will be 40 inch or whatever it is closer to their homes.
No, just as, again, it gradually changes.
shifting?
It gradually shifts, so it's less and less the closer you get to Kent.
But
And
it
for-
still
and-
will-
And for the last 2 weeks, initially, staff and engineer have met with homeowners along the way, and there doesn't seem to be that much of a great concern, at least that's not what I'm hearing back, and I think that's evidenced by the fact that the room isn't full of people here today regarding this issue.
They're in New York City and other places, so I'm sorry. That's why I'm here.
Well,
I was supposed to be in Maryland.
We've met
but-
with an awful lot of them.
But
so-
that was before this alert came out.
No, it's been after.
Well, then these people have not been met with.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I guess what I'm thinking also, again, as an artist and trying to see this, I know it would take a lot, but to have that shift happen, wouldn't it be more, what do I want to say, courteous? I know, I'm going. That the path be slightly narrower so that it's not encroaching more on Collins Street South Side residents and property owners. That's what I was requesting, that some kind of change so that we're not going closer to their homes.
The path is entirely in the town-owned right-of-way, and I think...
Oh, we
there-
know.
And I think that there's a very great interest on the part of the community, besides a few people on Collins, to make sure that there's safe transport from the Bethany West, Turtle Walk, and Lake Bethany areas on Collins to be able to go back and forth to the beach during the summer months.
And again, that's 6, 7, 8 weeks. And we do have a lot of people that unfortunately couldn't be here today. And I think this shift could have been handled in another way. And I think there are other people also that feel the same way. More than 2 or 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Is there anyone else? Yes. Is it an item on the agenda? Oh, yeah, wait for the agenda then, okay. Oh, yes, okay, that's fine. Okay. The next item on the agenda would be reports, and there is no report from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The next item would be a report from the Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee. Ms. Olmsted.
See you, Jim.
Thank you. Mayor and council, Jack met on February 14th, and then again on March 13th this year. At that meeting, we finalized that this year there will be 4 cultural evenings. They're all held here in this room at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The first one was actually held this Wednesday, and it was Mr. Tyler Delbrot of the Delaware Seashore State Park, and he gave a presentation on the history of the Coastal Delaware's life-saving program, and of course it included the history of the Bethany Beach life-saving station. It was very well received by the 50-some-odd people that were here, with lots and lots of questions. On April 17th, Carol Soros, who is a local historian an author and a member of the Ocean View Historical Society, will present her program entitled Delaware Civilian Conservation Camps and Iconic Spots in Depression, Sussex. That should be very interesting. And then in October, we'll have Dale Clifton, who's the owner and the director of the Discover Sea Shipwreck and Treasure Museum. As you know, that's in Fenwick Island. The museum, for those who have never been there, is located on Route 1, just above the Seasell Shop. And it enjoys a reputation as one of the finest shipwreck treasure museums in the country. And November will be our final presentation for the cultural evenings, and it will be Mr. Randy Riggle who will present a program on nostalgia. It's sort of comedy and song about how the world has changed since the 50s and 60s. And that should be fun, and a special tribute for the veterans is included in his presentation since it's very close to Veterans Day. Elaine Fay, who is now the Bethany Beach Museum's director, recently employed by the town for that position, addressed CHAC and explained her role and the tasks that she is currently and in the future going to be undertaking. The committee also discussed items that are now for sale and will be for sale in the future at the Dinker Irvin Museum. A spring event is being planned for early May at the Dinker Irvin Museum, and several ideas were discussed at the meeting, and some of the committee members volunteered to formalize plans and present them at the next meeting. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Olmsted? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Olmsted. The next item on the agenda is a report from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee, Mr. Hinman and Ms. Keel.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our team members. We really have a great group of folks who are involved in donating a lot of time and energy to this topic. Obviously, they're very passionate about it and are willing to commit. So I always like to show and give them a little bit of thanks for their work. We have a lot going on this year. A key is Teresa and I have decided to split the leadership role, which is great because of the perspective she helps bring. Some of the areas of focus, you've probably seen this before. We've tried to break our work down into 6 major areas. You can sort of see them shared on the left-hand side. So we're thinking about situational awareness initiative. That's the training, that's the whole WAVE 2.0. Really got some great ideas that are being put together around that. Rapid rectangular flashing beacons on Route 1, we're looking at options there. One I want to give special note to is the student orientation program. Sergeant Foley has a lot of passion for that and a lot of energy, and we're really trying to, he's done a lot of work so far to put that in place for the coming year, so we're really excited for that. So that's to really engage with all the J1 students as they're coming, particularly about safety and the risks, and develop that rapport with them. We'll talk a little bit about the workshop we're going to have next week. We're really excited about that. We're trying to do a better job of utilizing the Bethany Beach app that's being developed, as well as the newsletter for enhanced communication, and then reaching out to various communities just to have dialogue and conversation about their thoughts and perspectives around pedestrian, bicycle, and really any kind of safety in the area. So what I'd an ask of the community, if you have a community group, you'd like us to come and have a dialogue with you, we'll craft it to whatever your needs are, whether it's a community meeting on whatever basis, we'd love to come and chat and get your feedback. You certainly give that to us anytime, but we would really welcome that. That's a good way of staying engaged, get your ideas, see what's working and what we can get better at. The thing we're really excited about next week, and I'd like Teresa to really speak to this a little bit, but one of the ideas the group had, and we started to do this last year, where we invited other communities to come and hear what they're working on, so we can get sort of fresh ideas and their thoughts and perspectives. The team said, well, it would be great if we really brought a number of communities together and we really have that dialogue together. So next week, we're really excited about having our, we're calling this Learning Sharing Workshop. We have speakers from DelDOT on the sort of the front end of it, the back end from the University of Delaware. And Teresa's done an awesome job of going out and recruiting some of the community members. So Teresa, if you want to just speak to that, that'd be great.
So really, bicycle and pedestrian safety is a regional issue. It's not a Bethany issue. And in order to make sure that we don't have a bunch of towns on the coast that are duplicating their efforts, we thought it would be beneficial to bring everybody together. And that's really the genesis of why we decided to do this. And I think we're excited about it. I mean, we've had good participation. Some of the towns can't make it. Some of them have standing meetings already. But it'll be recorded and they can watch it in their own time.
Right. So at the end of it, our goal is, as we've been sort of talking about this, and I know a couple of members of the committee are here, is that if we walk out of there at 12 o'clock and everyone sort of has a little bit more energy, a little bit more enthusiasm, a little bit more hope that they've learned some things, there may be some things we can introduce here in the community and with each other, then we'll have had, I think, a rousing success. So,
And we want to make sure that you guys know you're all invited. 10 o'clock on Thursday.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Yep, thank you.
Jen Carter. A while ago, when we were talking about Collins Street and the issue of Kent and then double bridges and then Muddy Neck and blah, 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 those are encompassing those roads and Out 26 and whatever. They're encompassing these other communities, and I know from somebody that there are at least 2 other jobs or projects on the books, or they're trying to get them on the books, from DelDOT and all of that, for more official biking, hiking paths that will hopefully connect. Is that also something that in the background you all are having as kind of the infrastructure concern? Is that something that you're going to hopefully just kind of gently push or get into a little bit, please? Thank you. Okay. Is that?
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Carter. We've definitely talked about that, and that's part of the reason we're having DelDOT here, is to give us that sort of regional perspective and their thoughts and ideas, because it's not just about Bethany, it's how these paths can create or connect together to give folks really some good options, as well as reducing the level of risk. And so absolutely. Yeah, thank you. That's great. We're working on it.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much for that report. Very good, and good luck next week. That sounds like a good program. The next item is a report from the Stormwater and Flood Committee. Mr. Califf.
A meeting of the Stormwater and Flood Committee was held on Thursday, January the 25th, with all our committee members present, including our newest member, John Russell. We had a speaker that day, who was Rob Nicholson, a University of Delaware Blue Tech project manager. He spoke on the blue economy with a focus on economic and robotic activities related to the coastal and marine environment, climate change, sea level rise, and coastal resilience. Our town manager, Cliff Gravier, briefed us on the following areas: the Loop Canal, Steel Flat Dam, which continues in engineering. I believe it's completing now and is well into the permitting process. The Loop Canal bulkhead project was discussed, where we have been allocated $225K of state funds, and then, as Rosemary said earlier, another $500K of federal funds is on the way, which will be great. Beach replenishment and the associated DNREC economic study was reviewed, as well as the Back Bay study, DelDOT's Route 1 initiative, and the USGS monitoring stations, where one of them is now currently operating, the one right down here at Route 1, which you can access right now on the town website. Matt Kirk's updated us on the committee on our ongoing distribution of the Bethany Homeowners Help the Town Fight Flooding pamphlet, which has been going quite well. And we had a brief discussion on a recent article from the Shore and Beach magazine covering resilience efforts on the New Jersey beaches since Hurricane Sandy 10 years ago. Most interesting. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Caleb? Anyone present have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Caleb. The next item on the agenda is a report from the 4th of July Parade Committee. Mr. Fry.
Got a cheering squad.
Yeah, Mayor and Town Council. The 4th of July Parade Committee met this morning. We had a large and enthusiastic group, plus 2 visitors even. Julie Molesky reported that our T-shirt design is finalized and now being printed. Rayal Miller is organizing the sales force as usual, which will begin at the craft show on June 1st. Scott Bell has redesigned our float forms and the process to be more efficient this year. Maureen Kilmer reported the bike decorations are all set. Jerry Morris has the float judging and prizes well in hand. We had a spirited discussion on whether or not to use a credit card reader for shirt sales. And I said spirited discussion. Chris Lawrence agreed to assemble a small group to assess the pros and cons we senior citizens using this device. Our next meeting will be on May 22nd at 9 a.m. in this room, and will include a shirt folding session. That's it, Mayor.
Any questions? Anybody?
The public's invited to help fold shirts.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fry. The next item is a report from the Audit Committee. Mr. Gordon.
Okay. Congratulations again, Mr. McHugh. You have big shoes to fill, as was pointed out earlier. The Audit Committee met on Friday, February 16th. John Morton presented the annual internal audit report, where he reported on his routine audit process, as well as the calendar year 2023 audit focus, which was on cybersecurity. Twice this year, the town's payment processing portal has been used for an attack in bot testing of credit card numbers. And since then, the town has implemented additional verification measures to prevent these attacks from happening in the future. Cybersecurity was discussed further, and the committee decided to include it as a routine item in all of our audit committee meetings in the future. In light of the ongoing FBI investigation concerning the police chief and captain, the committee discussed the handling of police overtime and ways to improve the process, some of which have already been put into place. This led to a discussion of ways to automate the process of looking for inconsistencies and other outliers to better identify potential fraud quickly and efficiently. The Audit Committee voted to focus the 2024 plan of investigating ways to implement automation to assist the continuous audit and assurance of the measures we've been taking. The audit committee was pleased and impressed with the positive actions of the town's internal auditor and the finance department, which is already taking into their thoughts the discussions that we had at the committee meeting and thinking of implementing this automation somewhat this year to help out in looking at all systems, not just overtime, et cetera. Looking ahead, we have tentatively scheduled dates for the opening and closing of the external audit for May 10th and for July 26th. That's all I have at my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone present here have any questions for Mr. Gordon? Okay, thank you for the fine report, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you.
The next item is a report from the Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee met on Thursday, February 15th, to discuss the proposed budget for the year 2025, which will begin on April the 1st. The new draft budget includes the town revenues are budgeted at $13.7 million, operating costs at $11.8 million, and capital and debt budget at $2.2 million. Changes to the draft since we first discussed it in January include $500,000 to repair a draining system on North Pennsylvania Avenue, $210,000 to replace one of our trolleys, which was purchased back in 2005. I will emphasize that we looked into an electric trolley, which was over $500,000. So that's not in the budget. $60,000 to replace the roof on the Nature Center and $50,000 to purchase another police vehicle. The committee discussed the cost of providing trash services and recommends a 35% increase in sanitary fees. The cost of providing this service has increased significantly over the past few years, particularly for personnel and truck replacement. The committee recommends that the council approve the budget for the fiscal year 2025. That's my report.
Any questions? Even with that increase, we're still in line with local other trash services, aren't we?
Actually, we're either in line or lower than most other
In the area?
private people that collect trash.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Morris. The next item on the agenda is a report from the Non-Residential Design Review Committee. Mr. Shepley.
Thank you, Mayor. The Non-Residential Design Review Committee has met twice since our meeting in January. We approved 2 sets of signs. The first set is for a new business called Aria Nails at 759B Garfield Parkway. And the second approval was for a new wall sign for a new business called Tackle Up, located at Town Center at 100 Garfield Parkway, store number 6. And that concludes my report. I should mention, we do have another meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 5th, at which we have currently 4 more businesses requesting approval for signs.
Are these new businesses?
3 of the 4 are new businesses.
Oh, good.
One is an
Yeah.
existing business.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Anyone on council? Thank you very much, Mr.
You're
Shepley.
welcome.
Then finally, a report from the town manager, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, council. The mayor mentioned earlier that the town was fortunate enough to pick up $500,000 from the Community Partnership Fund. It's federal funds that are administered or you apply for through our congressional delegation. And kudos to Terry Tiemann. And one of Terry's main assignments for us is looking for grants, applying for grants, and I think she's probably approaching the $1 million mark in success. So worth her weight in gold. We are glad to have you, and thank you very much for all that hard work. So you're welcome.
It's time to ask for a raise, Terry.
Well, look for a grant for that, Terry.
Look for grant money.
Beach conditions. We've had quite a winter with winter storms, and we have a graphic. You can see the tide continues to break fairly close to the dune fence. The location of the dune fence was the location of the original toe of the dune after our last major replenishment a few years ago, not the most recent one, which only dealt with the beach. We've had a lot of issues. We've lost a lot of dune fence. We've lost a lot of the dune. And recently, and there had been an issue that they have not been responsive, and one of the reasons I don't think they were responsive was our crossovers. DENREC had not come to try to restore any of our oceanfront crossovers, and I believe the main reason is that there has not been enough sand on the beach for them to move and try to open the crossovers. This week, they were here earlier in the week. They've opened all the crossovers, and now we're hopeful that they'll restore the dune fence in the area in front of the replenishment. You'll remember the replenishment only went from Ocean View to Wellington Parkway. The very north end of Bethany and the very south end of Bethany were not replenished and therefore did not have dune fence installed. The town has the dune fence in stock and is ready to go ahead with having the dune fence installed on the southern portion of town as we get closer to the spring, but we now have asked DENREC to give us some assistance in the areas within the replenishment area, or renourishment, whatever we're calling it today, sometime before spring. We're hopeful the beach builds back. We still have a long way to go before we're into a cycle of non-winter storms, non-nor'easters, and I'm hoping it continues to build as it is today. This is about as much beach as we have seen in quite a long time. Public Works has been dealing with some real issues with rainfall. We have our tidal flooding, which pushes back and floods our swales, and we see a lot of that, but we have had an unusual cycle here the last couple of months with rainfall. Rainfall does something different than the tidal flooding, and what that does is wash debris, leaves, sticks, whatever, into all of our swales, which means that they have to then be cleaned. And Public Works has been busy with every free moment they have, visiting choke points, trying to clean swales, looking for problem areas. But as everything with our open drainage swales and our low elevation, it's problematic for everybody involved. They continue to work at it, and hats off to them. It's not been the best of environments, and certainly not the driest of environments to keep things open. Fire and ice, we've had a couple of years now where we didn't have enough beach to have fire, and we didn't have enough low temperatures to have ice. And this year was no exception, unfortunately. Kudos to Julia, who did, I think, her very best in coordinating with the event, and it's a chamber event. But again, we hope the weather cooperates more with this going forward. She had a lot of plans. I know people were disappointed about the fireworks, but we have taken the resources we were going to put in those fireworks, and we're going to apply them to the 4th of July fireworks if we have enough beach. So. Summer hiring is always a problem for us, and right now the police department is in a mode where they're doing all they can to attract more seasonal officers. One of the issues is housing, so if anyone knows, as the mayor mentioned, someone who might be able to help us with that, that would be an issue. The other issue is that we use the same sort of criteria that full-time police departments use in hiring. We administer polygraphs, we administer psychological evaluations, background checks, and a health and fitness test. So you're essentially doing the same thing for your seasonal position with us here as you would with a full-time job. It's a problem for all agencies in the area that use seasonal police departments, and if you haven't noticed, and there's probably not much reason for you to notice, but Ocean City has made a decision not to have seasonal police officers anymore. They are going to try to offset that by hiring more full-time police officers. And we've taken a look at that a number of years ago and did some workups on that, and they're going to spend a fortune to even approach some of the levels of staffing they probably had with seasonal officers. The water department every 8 to 10 years takes tanks offline, empties the tanks, does an interior physical inspection, sanitizes, cleans the insides of the tank, takes them offline for about 24 hours, completely empty, and then fills them to the top. With our standpipe, that means it will be filled to its entire 1,000,000-gallon capacity, and our sphere to 275 gallons, 1,000 gallons, pardon me. That'll occur in March. The standpipe will go offline first for about 24 to 48 hours, and then the sphere will go off in April for 24 to 48 hours. But it's part of routine maintenance. The Water Department is also investigating different things that they might be able to do to make the top of the water tower, both towers, less appealing to osprey. And that continues to be an issue for us when we try to clean the exterior, and certainly we can't do anything like that when they're nesting, so they're actively looking into that. Our police department is one of the few small departments in the nation that's nationally accredited. And part of that accreditation process involves a periodic review once or twice a year, and then significant reviews on every 2 or 3 years. They were in the process of having a quarterly review or half-year review at the point in time that the executive staff, if you will, of the police department was terminated. At that point in time, the CALEA, the accrediting agency, told us that instead of coming in and reviewing 50 standards, they would come into town and review all 150 standards, and they advised us they were not going to change their schedule for that, which was almost days away. Kudos to Sergeant Patrick Foley, who really put his nose to the grindstone, if you will, and updated all the standards, have everything ready for them, and he passed with flying colors. The town passed with flying colors, and we're back into the accreditation process, if you will. I've included in your flyers something that our assistant parking director, Nick Imperial, created, which is a review he was going to use for training for our seasonal parking enforcement officers. It's very comprehensive, it's very well done, and he's going to modify that so it's more accessible to the general public. We'll have that on our website here next week. It's very well done and very impressive. And in the back of the room, for those who are interested, Julie Molesky has done a great job with bandstand performances this year. There's an article in the Coastal Point today about that. I think she's going to hit it out of the park with what she's scheduled, and there's copies of the schedule in the back of the room, and it's online also. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Cliff, reference the 4th of July fireworks. When do we have to make a decision on the size of the beach for having or not having?
So one of the things that we look at with the beach is we look for a beach wide enough to shoot a 4-inch shell. And if we get into, we could probably shoot shows with some of the beach we've had in the years past, but you wouldn't be able to see it from Atlantic Avenue.
Yeah.
So sparklers and things, you know. So we'll make a decision later in the year. The fire marshal has to come. The fire marshal will tell us what size shell we can shoot. But he generally wants to do that just a few weeks before the show. So it's sort of a moving target.
Okay.
The contracts we have allow us to back out due to conditions without any forfeiture, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone? I would just mention that the CALEA accreditation, there are only, I think, about 10 agencies in Delaware that are accredited by and I think people like Dover, Wilmington, University of Delaware Police, so to have our small police department up with those is really a credit to the department.
There are probably maybe a dozen police departments our size that are nationally accredited. And it's a lot of work, but it does create a set of standards that really hold the agency to a higher standard. It's unfortunate, again, that what happened within the department, but that was outside of the things that CALEA monitor in terms of job performance and police performance. So.
You know, Cliff, I think as we all struggle with the hiring challenges, right, and staffing, that is sort of a feather in our cap, though. So if you have someone relatively new that wants to come out and can be affiliated with a, small town that has that accreditation, that's certainly, whether they stay the whole time or not, right? I mean, for 20 or 30 years, but that's certainly, I think, a nice thing we can help attract, right? To say the quality and the higher standards we hold folks to, so.
We have a relatively high turnover compared to most agencies of people leaving us for our other larger agencies like the state police and federal organizations, enforcement organizations, and federal government, so.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Gravier? All right, thank you, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor.
I think we're down to new business now. This will be a first reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 475, Property Maintenance, Section 1, drainage and elevation standards of the Bethany Beach Town Code by adding the words "may be required by the town." Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Caleb. Right, at the present time, Chapter 475, Section 1, lot requirements, under Section B1, requires that the elevation or grade of any lot or plot of ground or any portion thereof in the town of Bethany Beach shall not be changed, nor shall the same be cleared until a building permit is issued. Prior to the issuance of said permit, an engineering report evaluating the impact of the elevation change or lot clearing on adjoining properties and the town's stormwater system and/or infrastructure at the present time, it is required by the engineering study is required by an engineer designated by the town. And as you know, we have a great building inspector, and in the work she has done, she has pointed out that there are, and this is all paid for by the homeowner, and there are times when the change is so minute or so minor, like elevating, putting in a garden or something that has no possible effect, where it would be ludicrous to require an engineering study. So what she has done is to suggest that rather than make it mandatory for every single change, no matter how small, that we put in the words "may be required," so that she has the discretion of requiring it when she thinks that it is necessary, such as, I would think in the case of a new building or something like that. So this is the first reading of that ordinance, and at the next council meeting, there will be a second reading. But in the meantime, are there any questions on the part, Mrs. Frederick is here, if there are any questions on the part of council or anyone here. First, council, does anyone have any questions? No? Did you, Mickey? Okay. Okay, Mr. Loftus, please come and identify yourself and your...
Yep, my name's Michael Loftus. I'm at 962 Terrapin Street. When I originally saw that agenda item 475-1, mine is in reference to D, okay? I didn't know that, but want to bring your attention to an issue I had in the last 2 weeks. We have a house behind us, became an Airbnb. It's been a nightmare. Most recently, they took out trees, they put in a fence. So 475D-1 states that you cannot change the grading and move flow into the other neighbor, okay? We have had major flooding in our backyard. I've been there. I've been an owner for 22 years, 13 years full-time resident, absolutely no flooding, including Sandy. Checked with a former council member. He told me, in fact, that yes, I do have a right to fight this. Went to the town, did receive, I included before pictures and after. So the issue is not just the flooding, but I have severe damage down the back of my yard. Okay, I've lost grass, there's dirt, there's all kinds of problems. 2 days after sending this in, the town inspector got back to me, called me and said, yes, in fact, they are at fault, number one. Number two, they've been told that they have to fix my yard. I specifically asked him, I said, does this mean not just throw down seed, but rough it up, put down new dirt, and take care of it? He said, yes, that's being conveyed to the owner. We get a nasty email from the owner that night stating we have no, why do we go to the town? We are not doing anything here. I emailed the town inspector again. He now says that this is a civil issue and the matter is closed. So here's my question. If you read that ruling, there's no consequence. What is the consequence? I've got thousands of dollars of damage in my backyard from this other owner. I've sent pictures to the town. I've got video. I've got pictures of the flooding. By the way, 475 A-whatever it is. Now I'm at default because I now have a shallow ground in so I'm now at fault, which this guy brought up to me. So what's the consequence? Because he told me first he tells me, and this is the problem. Number one, why was I given false information? Is that false information from the town employee? Okay. Number two, where's the consequence? What's the point of the ruling? And that should affect everyone in town because we know that everyone's making changes in this town right now, willy-nilly. And again, I've proven the issue here. So this needs to be addressed. One, not just for me personally, for the town. Thank you.
Does anyone? Mr. Ravi, does anyone want to comment on that?
No?
Okay.
I had called,
You're on,
not heard back.
you called 48 hours ago. You're on my callback list.
Mayor, this is a question more than a comment, so thank you, sir, for, it's a good question. I mean, what room do we have? I mean, this can't be the first time something like this has happened, right, in the town. I mean, I'm just not sure, so.
Mr. Hemman, we'll put together a package of all the things that Mr. Loftus has submitted, what the building inspector has provided, and what the code enforcement officer has done, and we'll provide that for the council to review, and if they want to take some action with that or put it on a future agenda, we can deal with that.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it would just seem, to be honest with you, it seems like, you know, Susan and others, the process it seems like we have in town is really effective. We work together, right? We work collaboratively to try to get at the right solution. And so I think that's great. It's just when people don't follow that becomes the issue. If that's the case, I mean, I'm not trying to jump ahead of it, but, right.
It sounds like Mr. Loftus will all be able to take a look at that. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. The next item on the agenda then is discussion, consideration, and possible vote, we don't have to take a vote on that. Possible vote on a supplement to the fiscal year 2024 operating and capital budgets. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. This amendment adjusts the previously approved fiscal year 2024 operating and capital budget to match end results. During the year, the town experienced cost increases higher than anticipated. This amendment increases the general fund operating budget by $270,000 and reallocates $100,000 in the general fund capital budget from the streets department to the parking department. I make a motion that we approve this budget amendment.
Second?
Are there any discussion? Any questions? Okay, all those, we have a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote regarding adjusting the fiscal year 2024 special fund budget to match grant funds actually received. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. The town applies for grant funds each year from federal, state, and other sources. In the fiscal year 2024, the budget was prepared over a year ago using estimates of a minimum grant funding we expected. Grant awards to the town have exceeded these early estimates by $108,755. I don't know where the 55 cents comes from. This amendment will adjust the revenue and expense budget of the town's special fund to match grant funds that we were actually awarded to the town during the past year of 2024. I make a motion to approve the budget amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, any comments? Anyone have any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on 2024 concessions for exercise classes to be held during the summer session on the beach. Mr. Shepley.
Thank you, Mayor. You all have in your packet a summary of the 2024 exercise class
I'm sorry.
summaries. I'm happy to report that this year we have 6 returning classes from previous years and 5 new classes for a total of 11 different classes that have applied for permission to perform those classes. These include things like yoga, Pilates, athletic training, even a writing class and a marine science class. These will be held on the beach, the bandstand, and in Central Park in the mornings and the evenings. So we have a full schedule. There is an excellent offering of classes, topics, and times. I would like to make a motion that we approve the 2024 exercise class summaries.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? Anyone have any questions? No. No, there are people watching. They want to hear you.
You guys probably know, but we're just wondering who is funding the classes? Are these town-funded classes, or are these separate entities and businesses that are doing this?
The town is not funding any of these classes. It's entirely funded, and the admission to these classes is given or accepted by the people or businesses putting on the classes. The town does require a business license from each one of these, and they have to pay the same business license that everybody else does.
So they're not paying to use that part of the town property? There's no fee for them to have the class there?
That is correct.
Could there, or should there be a consideration of that? I mean, it's a business doing something on town property, not their own business property? I
think there certainly could be, but there hasn't been up to this point.
Thank you.
My apologies. Oh, wait a minute. We have to take a vote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? Okay. There's a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And I apologize, I skipped over the most important one, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the budget for fiscal year 2025 and the schedule of fees. Mr. Morris.
Don't let that happen again.
Blame it on the new guy.
The Budget and Finance Committee recommends the approval of the 2025 budget. The budget has been available on the public town website and in the town hall, and a public hearing was held this past Monday with no outside public comments. The proposed budget includes $13,741,000 in revenue, $11,863,000 in operating cost, $1,935,000 in capital projects, and $246,000 in debt repayments. The only change in fees in the budget is a 35% increase in trash fees. I make a motion that the council approve the budget and schedule of fees for the year 2025.
Is there a second? Any comments, questions? Anyone?
I have
Okay.
just two brief comments. Just a part of the reason it was mentioned earlier is for the trash fee increase is the increase in personnel cost, the people that are actually working in picking up the town's trash and our trash. And the second the second part of that is, what do we have, 10 trash trucks, I think, and we replace one pretty much every year. You can imagine the wear and tear that goes into these trash trucks, so it's kind of surprising they last that long. But the trash truck used to cost, and when I say used to, I'm talking about a year or two ago, $240,000 to be replaced. It's now $320,000 for each truck. And the other comment I'd like to make, I think I heard this correctly on the news this morning, is that the town of Rehoboth Beach is operating in their current budget with a $4 million deficit. We're in much better shape down here in Bethany Beach. In fact, we're in great shape, as Jack said in his report, and Jerry has said every month in his report.
Rehoboth is pulling $1 million from reserves for this budget.
And Patrick, I don't believe that the trash fees have been increased in 5 years, is that correct?
It's been 5 years.
So they've been the same for the last 5 years?
Yeah. Along with that, we've had a number of what I would call longtime people now, which means that there's much more trash to remove. So that, again, takes attrition on these trucks. They do take quite a beating. So it's amazing how much they cost, but we're kind of stuck with that problem. And like Pat says, we replace one about every year, but it takes a year to get them. or we order it this year, we might have it for next year. The same thing will be said for the trolley that we're buying. We're purchasing it now, but it won't be here for this summer. It may be here for next summer. So these are long delivery items. They're extremely expensive. We budget for them as best we can. Unfortunately, the price keeps going up and up and up. So,
Anyone else? Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. I would like to just say that the reason the town is in such great shape is that we have all the result of the town staff, the town manager and our finance director and the office directors who do such a great job managing the resources of the town. So thank you. The next item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on a contract with Pannoni for a study to analyze and assess the potential sea level rise impacts on town infrastructure, accessibility, and ability to provide essential services for $54,000. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, Council, as we move into different grant processes, most especially grants that we're looking for that might help us with our dam at the confluence of the Esholm and the Loop Canal, often we'll see some need to be able to produce some kind of a resiliency report that speaks to the town's ability to deal with sea level rise and other issues that might impact the town in terms of inundating flooding. We have contracted with in the process of wanting to contract with a company called Pannoni Engineering, who have done similar resiliency studies in other parts of the state, most notably in Milton, where they put together a very comprehensive resiliency plan for the entire town. But because our needs were a little different, we have had them put together a contract after a discussion and dialogue with town staff to create a resiliency plan that will pointedly look at town infrastructure, town-owned property, and the town's ability to provide essential services moving forward to deal with sea level rise. This is a sole source contract because of the type of work Pannoni has done in the past on this issue, and I present it to you for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Gravier. Is there anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept Pannoni bid of $54,000 to do this infrastructure study.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anyone have any questions? No. Anyone present have any questions or comments from Mr. Gravier? Okay. Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor and the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Gravier.
Yeah.
The next item is a discussion, consideration, and possible vote on a traffic project with the Delaware Department of Transportation for State Route 1 and Ashwood Street rapid flashing beacon for the amount of $138,088.10. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, I think we've been talking about this for almost 3 years, and it's one of the things that when we've changed engineering firms and changed engineers, it ended up in some non-compete issues, and we had some difficulty getting it restarted. But we were able to restart it this year, and right now it's on the book to be done this spring if the council moves forward with this. These are dollars that are contained in the 2024 budget, and it's for a rapid flashing beacon at Ashwood and Route 1. It also realigns the intersection, and it's also a set of piano keys to be laid out for the intersection. We are being asked to pay for this because we asked for this over and above some RFPs, rapid flashing beacons, that DelDOT has helped us with before. The last one was about 2.5 to 3 years ago, and it was at Central Avenue. That only cost $98,000, so if we're talking about increases, here's a significant increase for us. But this one, because of some design work and rising cost, is $138,000. And this is sole source because DelDOT is DelDOT, so.
Thank you, Mr. Gravier. Do I have a motion?
I move to accept this contract with DelDOT for $138,000.
Don't forget the 10
Only-
cents.
10 cents.
10 cents.
And $88.10.
And the $88.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have one question. Clip, in the past, we put these things in, and we did get stuff from, some supplement from the state, did we not?
Yes, I think they put in 2 of our beacons. I think we put in the 3rd.
All right, so this year,
This year, they,
following up on your committee's work, trying to make it more safe for people to cross, so that the public knows we're addressing the issue, we're paying for this ourselves.
yes.
Yes. And the Bethany Proper Homeowners Association has been asking for this for a long time.
Yes, they have.
Any more discussion? Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you. Motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor,
The next item is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the purchase of one 2024 Polaris with a police package from Delmarva Power Sports for the amount of $38,000. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, this is a purchase to replace an existing Polaris that the police department uses for beach patrol. It is specific to a law enforcement application because of the seating arrangement in it. It is a off the state contract, so it is a sole source because they do all the work in terms of bids and prices. And this will come out of the 2025 budget.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Delmarva Power Sports for a 2024 Polaris North Star Ultimate Edition with the police package for $38,000.
There a second?
Second.
Any questions?
What is a Polaris?
I think it's something to do with astronomy, I'm not sure.
It's a missile, I'm afraid.
It's an ATV
Okay, for use on the beach.
on the beach, yes.
What's unique about the police package? Is it
I
the
really
flashing
don't, I
lights?
really don't know.
Okay,
Okay.
It's a
They do.
secret.
as long as somebody does.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. And the final item on the agenda is discussion, consideration, and possible vote on two 2024 Chevy Tahoes from I.G. Burton for the amount of $64,990 in town funds and $35,000 in Sussex County grant funds. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, council, these purchases are also off state contract, sole source, and from the 25 budget. They will be replacing, for patrol, two Tahoes that have 2015 and 2016 with substantial miles on them, and that we're having some significant issues with mechanically. Normally, we would retire both of the older vehicles, but we will probably work to keep one available. In the past, we have not had a vehicle that we could put our seasonal officers in if we want them to do any vehicular patrol in inclement weather or something like that. So if we keep one back, again, the one that's in the best repair, that'll be used for that, now that every officer has his own car. So,
Thank you, Mr. Gravier. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the I.G. Burton proposal for $64,990 in town funds and $35,000 in Sussex County grant funds for the two 2024 Chevy Tahoes.
Is there a s-
Second.
Okay, any discussion, questions? Anyone have any comments? Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor and the second. All those in favor? signify.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor,
And that concludes the agenda, finally. Thank you, everyone, for coming or for watching today, and for the comments, too. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Has anybody ever opposed the motion to adjourn?